with these human alien hybrids, and it's like he believes it's like a slow takeover of this whole thing.
Freaky.
So like I said, he's been doing this since the early 90s, and he was getting continually over and over again. And this is what he's saying: like if this happened once, he'd be like, "All right, cool story, bro. You're a little, cuckoo, whatever." But he was just getting it over and over and over and over again every time he would. And it wasn't like he was leading the questions or whatever. He was doing like just asking, "Okay, what happened next? What happened next? Tell me what happened next." And these people would basically paint this picture of getting taken aboard some craft, having their bits and pieces doodled with, and
details.
Stuff
please.
was taken, sticky stuff was taken and inserted into others.
I don't get it.
It's listen, when an alien loves a man. No, so they were basically...
Well, no, wait, before you go on, like that's one of the common things of abductions is people, that way you're describing, basically semen being taken from the body, but they also see like pregnant women, they'll see pregnant aliens, little babies will be handed to people, they're like half alien looking, there's a lot of weird shit that goes down.
Yeah, it's a really common trope.
Yeah.
So when he was in the early 90s, he started saying like he was hearing things and he would like talk to the abductees and saying, okay, what are they telling you? What are they saying? And over again, he was hearing sentences from these beings, and he described them too. He was like, the main beings that are doing this are these mantis-like beings, the insectoid kind of beings.
Those sons of
that
bitches.
people were describing. And then the grey aliens, the common grey aliens that we know of, that we know and love.
No, if I get abducted by grey aliens, I'm going to hate it. It's going to be boring. I'll be like, really? That's the abduction I get? Grey aliens?
No, we got mantis people here, man.
You're just gonna bend
mantis.
over and you're be like, all right, let's just get this over with.
Yeah. Get this in your abdomen. But he was
Sorry, go on, buddy.
he was talking about like the greys kind of being like this kind of a hybrid step in between the mantid people and humans, right? Because they got these big oval-shaped eyes, and
interesting.
And they've been developing this over hundreds and hundreds of years, this whole program. But anyway, so he was getting the same sort of sentencing and phrasing from these beings that were telling these people, soon we'll all be together. After the big change, we're all going to be living together.
Ooh,
and it was like this really, super creepy, continual messaging that he was getting from these beings.
The mantis or the greys?
Well, both. So they were all kind of working as this team, right? So, but it seemed to be very much like the mantis aliens were kind of the ones in charge, and the greys were kind of these worker things, these androgynous little worker creations. And he also mentioned like a couple of times, a number of times, people mentioned that there was like these reptilian beings as well that would kind of be part of the project. And
if something bad's going down with aliens, you're always going to see a reptilian. That's for sure.
Right. But he was saying like, who's to say they weren't part of some whole hybrid system as well? Anyway, so he said that was happening during the 90s, and then during the 2000s he started getting different messaging. And the messaging during the 2000s was when he started hearing from abductees, like one guy in particular he was talking about, and he heard this the first time and he was like, that's interesting, and it happened again and again and again. These guys talking about, I don't know why I didn't tell you, but I had this friend. And David Jacobs was like, okay, cool, you got a friend, nice story. But he's like, no, it's really weird, like I have memories of this being like my best friend. And he's like, okay. And then he's like, but I don't remember where I met him. We were just friends all of a sudden. And we would go out to dinner, and he would invite me over to his apartment, and I would help him move in. And then I would teach him how to drive. And basically he was just getting from these people that these friends that they had were basically trying to learn how to fit into human society by learning off these abductees.
Wow.
So he was
That's
basically...
weird.
he was just getting this over and over and over again, the same messaging that it's this kind of subtle infiltration of human society by these people who look very much like us now. Like they're at the point now, like in the 90s it was like soon it'll happen and we'll be living together kind of thing, and now we're at the point where it's like that messaging is gone and now we're trying to learn how to fit in with human society.
Are you suggesting you're suggesting that these are the NPCs, that this actually might be the NPCs?
That's where I kind of got to. It was like these, because the people were describing these friends as zombie-like. The same phrasing came up over and over again. They would just be like staring and just kind of standing over there and just not really doing anything, not being a part of anything. Odd. It was like this whole like creepy thing going on, and it got to the point where David Jacobs was being told by the abductees to stop. Oh, you need to stop talking to David Jacobs. This is going to cause trouble. You got to stop talking to him. And he had a couple of. He doesn't mention what happened specifically, but I was just listening to a interview with him. He doesn't specifically mention what happened, but he was saying like, and then stuff started getting kind of weird for me too. Like they were trying to stop this interaction between him and these abductees, because he's suggesting that 95% of people who have been abducted and a part of this whole thing don't realize that they've been part of this whole thing. It's only this small number, this 5% of people who realize something weird is happening with them, and they go to people like David Jacobs and find out bits and pieces about what's happening. And he's sort of spent this whole, I don't know, decades of his life now trying to piecing together this whole story based on people's abductee stories. But the creepiest thing that, and I think this is kind of where he was getting in the story, where it was like, this is fucked. I don't want to hear this anymore. But so one of the people that heard him interviewing David Jacobs was kind of really trying to push this whole like positive spin, like, oh, I've heard from hundreds of people who have had these really positive, encounters with these beings or whatever. And David Jacobs was basically saying, yeah, I don't usually hear from those people, and if I do, when we do the hypnotic regression with them, it turns out that that's just kind of a screen memory that happens, like this whole positive experience, and we're all, space brothers and and all that sort of stuff. But his big thing was saying,
or they were one of them.
Yeah,
either it was a false memory, or they're one of those evolved mantis human creatures, trying to play coy.
Oh, maybe, yeah, I don't know. But he was saying like, in this interview was kind of asking him like, how can we be sure it's like this doom and gloom, like nefarious shit that's going on? And he was saying, look, this is all being done in secret, and they're going to great pains to try and keep it secret. That's never a good thing. Like this, it's not like we're exchanging ideas and trading beer and goods and stuff on the intergalactic
that was our last
space
podcast,
station.
Everybody.
Yeah. He's saying, look, this is all being done. It's super subversive. It's this whole like trying to fool the human race as to like these beings being involved in your life, but they're not actually human beings. And the biggest thing that he was saying is these things have full fucking control of us, and we don't have that ability over them.
What do you mean, like consciously, or they're in positions of power?
Yeah, consciously. Like they're able to manipulate us in a way that they have full control over us.
Like psychopaths.
Yeah.
Because they use all the charming. They fit into society, okay? They say all the right things.
They learn
but they have
the right
no
things
empathy.
to say.
Yeah, I mean, he specifically says the human race is a second-class species to this other alien race that's infiltrating us. But he was talking about them how there was a really interesting question asked of him where they were asking him, like, what do they have an appreciation for the arts or anything like that? It was like a really odd question, but it got to an interesting
hot dogs
space.
at a baseball game.
Yeah. How do they feel about pineapples? No, they were like talking about how, you know, these things, like, they're completely humorless. They don't have any appreciation for art or anything like that. You know, there's no... the only thing he said was there was times when it felt like they had this, like, moment of enjoyment. When whatever they were doing, they seemed like they were pleased with what they were doing. And it was like this odd, like, creepy, you know... Yeah. It wasn't like they were, like, having a laugh or they were finding, like, a funny situation or, you know, they were like, oh, this is good, excellent, yes. Yeah. All right. So, you know, that's, I mean, David Jacobs, check it out. I dug his book. I'm going to get back into that book again and try and read it with the lights on maybe this time and see if I can dig out some more stuff. But, yeah. But anyway, that's kind of what I got to on my journey down the rabbit hole of, like, background people. I was thinking, like, what if these people that we sort of think are hanging out in the background and are different in some way from us, they seem to act differently. They don't have any compassion or empathy. And what if they're just like this infiltrating alien hybrid race that
simulation
anyway.
Alien virus?
Yeah, I don't know.
Bum, bum, bum. Coronavirus, step aside. NPCs.
Coming at you.
But there's got to be a way. I mean, I'm trying to put a positive spin on this because I know we're getting close to the end of the show. That I think humans in general, we talk about this a lot in all of our podcasts, but humans in general become slaves to their emotions. I mean, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. That happens to me too. But the thing is, if they could get a hold of it, you don't have to be a psychopath, but you're actually more powerful than anything else around you if you can understand the circumstances. And I think that, like, right now, maybe those beings, whatever they are, NPCs or alien human hybrids, walking around the planet, kind of being over us because they have control over that. I mean, I feel like that humans, if they understood how to use their body and their energy systems, they would have control over those beings.
Okay, I agree. I can get on board with that.
I mean, obviously the technology wasn't working so well on these people that they knew something wasn't right. Something isn't going right here. So, you know, it's not perfect for sure. There seems to be some sort of loophole in. But anyway,
I think it's a good conversation to have. I think that, as I said before, the world's at a bit of a precipice right now. What do we do? And we're looking at systems and people to blame. But I think we really need to look at our infrastructure, like, who are we within the infrastructure of Earth and society? And I know sometimes this idea of background people can get a little bit separatist, as you said, Matt, with people, like, blaming other people for not being woke or something.
Yeah.
But it really begs the question, like, are we supporting a psychopathic nature within our society to win and be in control of us? And
yes. And
then how is that going to forward our society forward? So I think that, like, that's the real conversation, whether it's aliens or slaves in energetic form in a simulated reality. I don't know. We're just having a podcast, but I'm saying, I'm just thinking that, like,
we're just having a drink and a conversation.
We're just having a lot of fucking drinks.
Yeah. We're not going to solve any issues just today.
Yeah. It's just an interesting thing to bring up. Like, maybe we should stop supporting that. That's all. That's all I have to say. All right. That's all the time we have. Everybody stay safe and make sure your neighbor is not an NPC. And have a good night.
Goodbye.